distinguished permanent representatives of Switzerland, Italy, and Slovenia, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. My thanks to the permanent missions of Italy, Slovenia, and Switzerland for helping to showcase the many ways the United Nations improves lives across the world. The exhibition launched here tonight, Shared Lives, Shared Future, tells a remarkable story. A story that began 8 years ago when the sun rose on a world scared by war and the United Nations was born. A story of ambition and resolve, of cooperation and results. A story the women and men of the United Nations are still writing today in communities across the world, supporting development, humanitarian assistance, peace and security, and human rights. As you view these images and read these testimonies, I urge you to reflect on three truths they reveal. The first is that the United Nations is deeply committed to supporting the most vulnerable, notably amidst conflict or disaster and through the promotion of sustainable development. Some of the individuals featured have turned to the UN in dire need and found safety, shelter, sustenance, and more. Others were able to access health care, escape early marriage, enroll in school, or find employment. The second truth is that international norms and standards, which are so easily taken for granted, touch people's lives all across the world every single day. Through aviation, mail delivery, intellectual property, weather forecasting, health and agricultural standards, and so much more. Which brings us to the third truth evident in these portraits, that multilateralism makes our world a better place. From peace to humanitarian action to development, none of the outcomes illustrated here would have come to pass without dialogue and cooperation among states. The people in these images are not simply posing for a photo. They are posing the question, what else is possible if the world put more effort into forging shared solutions? Raging conflicts, deepening inequality, runaway technologies, and a burning planet, none of these will fix themselves, and no one nation can fix them alone. We must work together, recognizing our shared humanity and building our shared future. Excellencies, this week we commemorate the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, one of the most ambitious and profound undertakings in human history. A promise, despite our differences, to solve problems together. As we mark 80 years of this extraordinary organization, let's recommit to this promise, and most of all, to the actions that will bring it to life in communities around the world. Thank you.
It is now my honor to invite the permanent representative of Switzerland, Her Excellency Ms. Pascale Christina Beresfeld, to deliver her remarks.
Secretary General, US Chief Fleming, Excellencies, colleagues, dear friends. It is an honor for my country, Switzerland, to co-host this exhibition alongside our friends from Italy and Slovenia and in partnership with the United Nations Department of Global Communications, and I really want to thank you all. Many of you were at the UN 80 briefing on Workstream 2 last Monday, when one of the briefers told us that she was the daughter of Vietnamese boat people saved in 1975 thanks to the United Nations. So she owes her life to the UN. This exhibition, launched during the week the United Nations celebrate their 80th birthday, tells us stories like hers. It is, however, not simply a tribute to the past. It is a reminder of why the UN matters now, in times of doubt and pressure, more than ever. This exhibition also reminds us of a simple truth. The UN is not a distant institution. It is part of our daily life. for people in all parts of the world, and often in ways we may not immediately see. It is in the food distributed to children in conflict zones. It is in the vaccines delivered to remote communities. It is in the treaties that keep the skies open and the oceans protected. It is in our communication with each other through international calls or overseas postal delivery. It is in the peacekeepers standing between war and peace. It is in the principles that uphold human dignity even when it is under threat. So it is in you, me, them, it is us, all of us. Here today we find 24 testimonies of people out of over 200 stories collected, which reflect the very essence of multilateralism. The idea that no country, no matter how powerful or how big, can address global challenges alone. And yet today, we find ourselves in a time when the fundamental principle of multilateralism is being tested. Geopolitical tensions are rising, trust among nations is extremely fragile. But as we all know, crises, from climate change to forced displacement, from pandemics to technological disruption, do not respect borders. They require cooperation, they demand dialogue, they call for solidarity. And this is why the United Nations must remain a beacon, a space where nations meet not to erase differences, but to manage them. The beauty of this exhibition lies not just in the stories it tells, but in the diversity of perspectives it brings forward. It reminds us that multilateralism is not abstract, but deeply human. It is about people, their hopes, their challenges, their rights, and their future. So let us continue to listen to these stories, to learn from them, and above all, to work together, or in this year's slogan, better together. Thank you very much.
Excellency, I now have the pleasure of introducing the permanent representative of Italy, His Excellency Mr. Maurizio Massari, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. His Excellency Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellency and the Secretary General for Global Communications, dear friend Mr. Fleming, esteemed ambassadors and colleagues, distinguished guests. I'm deeply honored to participate to this event tonight. When Melissa kindly asked us to consider our contribution to it, we eagerly supported it, knowing that it would be a unique opportunity to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the United Nations and the 70th anniversary since Italy's accession to the UN. The presence of the Secretary General adds further significance to this occasion, and I thank him sincerely for his presence tonight. We have often discussed the shortcomings of the multilateral system, the need for reform, and to this regard, let me reiterate our full support to the UN 18 reform launched by the Secretary General. Tonight, however, I would like to highlight two main points. First, I would like to underscore the many achievements of the United Nations, the tangible, practical support the organization provides to people around the world in their daily lives, as we can see from the pictures in this exhibition. A vivid example of the UN's impact can be seen in the faces and the stories featured in this exhibition. Those smiles and personal narratives remind us of the importance of fostering our joint efforts to promote peace and security, sustainable development, human rights, the 2030 Agenda, and the Sustainable Development Goals. Second, as the Secretary General often reminds us, the United Nations is its member states, both in its setbacks and successes. Therefore, it's essential that the member states continue to actively support the organization. In this spirit, I can proudly affirm that Italy strongly upholds multilateralism and will continue to play an active and constructive role within the United Nations system. As you know, Italy, we host the third largest UN hub globally after New York and Geneva. Italy ranks 7th among contributors to both regular and peacekeeping budgets and is the top troop contributing country among Western nations. And more recently, 2024, Italy entered the top 10 contributors to the UN, considering both assessed and voluntary contributions. So we will continue to give our contribution to the future of this organization and its activities. But I wish to conclude with one of my own favorite statements. And this is the following: the United Nations belongs to all of us, but it does not run on autopilot. Together we all share both the responsibility and the interest in defending the Charter of the United Nations, its fundamental principles, and the organization as a whole. The people and stories in the exhibition Shared Lives, Shared Future are a powerful reminder of why this work matters. I thank you.
I'd like to invite our final speaker for this evening, the permanent representative of Slovenia, His Excellency Mr. Samuel Svokar, to deliver his remarks. You have the floor, Excellency.
Thank you very much, dear Secretary General, colleagues, and guests, Excellencies. I'm honored to be here tonight. For Slovenia, the decision to join the global project followed a simple logic and undeniable truth: the United Nations matter. And one of the most powerful ways to show why it matters is through moments of daily life, the lives of people around the world. Behind every portrait lies a story of an individual, of a community, of neighbors, and ourselves. Each photograph in this exhibition reflects what this organization is about. At its core, it's about humanity and reflects a respect for human dignity. Over the past 80 years, the UN has saved and improved millions of lives. Yet with more people in need, progress remains insufficient. We must do more. And at a time when multilateralism is under stress, and when human rights and international law face unprecedented challenges, we must champion dialogue over division and principles over might. If we truly believe in shared lives, shared future, we must remain committed to working together and pursue diplomacy with determination. Despite its imperfections, the UN can look back with pride and forward with perseverance. For 8 decades, world leaders have come to the UN to seek collective solutions. And we heard today from Secretary General that maybe the last General Assembly was one of the most important ones, with so many leaders who came here determined to believe in the UN and to make the UN work for peace and security, for human rights and for development. And finally, together, we've created 80 years of the stories, some of which we will see outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, and I would like to express my appreciation to everyone here who joined us to mark the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. The exhibition is officially open. You can visit it on the curved wall back there. And please enjoy the reception. Thank you.
Hola. que
Ambasciatore, una bellissima mostra, molto partecipata, è venuto pure il segretario generale Antonio Guterres. Ecco, voi l'avete organizzata con la Svizzera e la Slovenia. Ci spiega il significato di questa mostra?
Beh, il significato e l'intenzione era quella di celebrare gli 80 anni delle Nazioni Unite attraverso delle immagini, foto di persone dal vivo che nei rispettivi paesi hanno sperimentato, diciamo, il valore delle Nazioni Unite. Le Nazioni Unite vengono spesso sottovalutate perché ci si limita a considerare il Consiglio di sicurezza, ma in realtà hanno un'articolazione di presenza sul terreno in tanti paesi, in tutti quasi i paesi, e svolgono attività, programmi di sviluppo per la salute, per l'education, in tutti i settori della vita che ci riguarda e che sono molto apprezzate dalla gran parte della società internazionale. Quindi noi con queste immagini cerchiamo di dare praticamente il senso della realtà, della vitalità di questa organizzazione, alla quale io credo, ma lo dico in maniera spassionata, non si può rinunciare, perché è l'unica organizzazione dove tutti i paesi hanno una voce, possono esprimere le loro opinioni, i loro interessi, possono negoziare, possono interagire, e credo che il mondo, che già oggi è molto instabile, senza le Nazioni Unite sarebbe ancora più instabile.
E ambasciatore, tra le bellissime immagini ce n'è proprio una dietro di lei che è di Palermo. Ci spieghi?
Palermo perché in realtà c'era una selezione di possibili immagini. Noi abbiamo scelto Palermo e questa bellissima chiesa che c'è alle spalle della persona che è in primo piano, perché l'Italia, tra le tante cose che rappresenta qui alle Nazioni Unite, rappresenta anche molto la cultura, la civiltà. Questo ci viene assolutamente riconosciuto da tutti. L'Italia non è un paese come gli altri, anche se diciamo è una media potenza, e al di là di tutto quello che noi facciamo nel campo della sicurezza alimentare, delle operazioni di pace, tutte le attività delle Nazioni Unite, ma nell'immaginario collettivo, nell'opinione dei paesi che compongono le Nazioni Unite, l'Italia è una grande civiltà. L'Italia è arte, cultura, e cultura significa sempre anche dialogo, capacità di interagire, di comprendersi, e questo, diciamo, è un punto di entrata dell'Italia nel mondo fondamentale, spesso non riconosciuto abbastanza da noi stessi, ma in realtà, vi posso dire, stando qui a New York, è così.